Well, it's finally done. I finally finished it. After one entire year and a couple more weeks, it's done. My very first one shot is completed. Hey everybody, welcome to Panels in Progress. Today's video, I'm going to go over 3 things I learned the last year working on my first one-shot comic, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my comic and where you can read it. Alright, first things first, let's talk about Dopple. Dopple is my very first one-shot horror comic. Horror/thriller is what I like to say. I put a lot of inspiration from The Faculty, Animorphs, Stepford Wives, and the short story, a woman's husband goes away on a routine business trip and he comes back a little bit different. She can't quite put her finger on it, but if you read it, you will find out exactly what he's up to. And if that sounds like something you're into, please check it out. Links in the description. You can read it now on Global Comics, and eventually you'll be able to read it on webtoon. But the real point of today's video is sharing with you what I learned. It took 1 year, a couple extra weeks of me toiling and working on it day and night, trying to get a little bit closer to that finish line, and I just want to share what I learned. And the first thing I learned was time and perseverance. This comic took way longer than I expected it to take. I assumed that because it was only 55 pages, I could possibly get it done, and that's inked, colored, and uploaded in possibly 3 to 4 months. And when that 3 to 4 month time period came and went, I was left confused. Previously, I have made some webtoons, several of them, and those all took me around 3 to 4 months. I think one took me maybe a max of 5 months to complete, but I figured that putting it in a traditional style format wouldn't take much longer than me making an endless scroll webtoon format. And boy, was I wrong. One of the takeaways I want you to leave with is whatever time frame you think it's going to take you, unless you've done this before, throw all that time frame stuff out the window. Yeah, you can give yourself a rough estimate of what you would like to see happen, but I would double or maybe even triple your expectations on that. If I would have tripled my expectations on how long it would take me to make my very first comic, I would have been right on schedule and I wouldn't have felt the burden and the anxiety of not having finished when I thought I was supposed to be finished. Number 2, I learned that small steps really do add up. In this process, because I didn't know how long it was going to take me, I only had a certain amount of time to dedicate every day to the comic. I have a full-time job, and making comics is my part-time passion. So basically, I would work on it before I went to work for about 30 minutes, and then I would come home, and on a good day I would have between 2 to 3 hours in the evening to work on it. However, the things you don't expect to pop up while you're making a comic, you get sick, or you have other arrangements, or you need to do something around your house, other responsibilities always come up, and not every single night could I dedicate that 3 hours to the comic. Sometimes I only had 2 hours. Sometimes I only had 1 hour. And more often than not, I only had 30 minutes. And throughout the process, I had to shift my mindset in how I approached that 30 minutes. The old me would be completely destroyed and distraught at the fact that I did not have 3 hours to spend working on the comic. I felt like if I didn't have the full amount of time, I couldn't do anything worthwhile. You know, I had high goals where it's like I wanted to finish a page a day, I wanted to ink a page a day, I wanted to color, a couple pages a day. Like, I had really high goals, and when I didn't have that 3 hours, I felt like I couldn't do any of it. However, As time progressed and time went on, I started changing my mindset around what could I get done in 30 minutes. And let me tell you, when you realize that you really only have 30 minutes and you need to get into the zone right now, right then and right there, I got the most work done on those 30-minute times. I didn't have time to mess around. I didn't have time to like slowly ease into it. I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I would get more than I expected done within 30 minutes. And I could be proud that I did something. So the second takeaway is all those little steps, no matter how small, they do add up over time. And it helps you to keep going and feel like you're still making progress, even if it doesn't seem like it on the day to day. Third takeaway, I didn't expect to be as important as it eventually became, but it's mentors or having someone actually look and read your comic long before you get done. I have to say thank you to my wife. She was my very first person to read my comic. She read it before it was even drawn. She read my rough script. I was able to speak with her and figure out, like, is the story working the way I want it to work? Because for me, if the story is working in written format, then drawing the visuals should make it that much easier. She was the very first person to read my script. She was the very first person to read my layouts, and I really appreciate that. The second person I have to thank is Jake Parker. I signed up for his comic workshop many moons ago, a year ago, and having him read my first 10 pages, my layout of the comic, his insight was invaluable. He was the one who helped me set up those initial pages, setting up better paneling and things that I didn't realize that I could do, like making a panel more dynamic or zooming in on just the facial expressions of the moment. His input was priceless. And the third person that I want to say thank you to is John Brinkley. He has a YouTube channel, and during that time, he was doing some free mentorship sessions where he would read your comic and give advice to what you actually wanted to focus on, whatever you thought you were struggling with. And I actually did 2 sessions with him. Having a one-on-one conversation with someone else who is also an artist, also a comic creator, is priceless as well. I don't have any other word to say it. Just the fact that he was able to convince me to keep going, because the things that I was focused on that I thought was wrong with my comic, he actually was able to say, no, you're actually doing pretty good, and here's some things that you can improve upon, and just to remind me to like finish the comic. It's kind of funny because he thought that, this comic was going to be my end all be all comic, but I told him actually no, this is just a practice comic. I'm only doing it because I want to get better before I tell my true story or my next story or my bigger story. And he was like, well, in that case, all you have to do is finish the comic. So thank you, John, for those sessions. And I look forward to your group sessions coming up. It's going to be worth it to be a part of that group to get that feedback. So I would say, guys, if you have the ability to either one, have your loved ones, your family, or your friends read over your comics and give you their feedback on the story, don't discount their opinions, because even though they might not be artists, they still understand how a story should work, because they might listen to audiobooks, they might watch television shows, movies. That's all story format. So if they're confused during the story, there might be a good reason why. And then the other thing about having professionals, Jake, John, yes, I'm counting you as a professional. Having professionals read your work, they can put it through a perspective of how a comic should flow and help you even more through that. So I really recommend getting extra eyes onto your comic in every single phase of the process, because that feedback is going to only improve how you look at your comic, but also how your comic will be received. Those are the 3 takeaways. 1, time and perseverance. 2, small steps really do add up. And 3, get some mentors or ask your friends and family for a look. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching the video. I'm so happy that I finished this project. I can't wait to start on the new project. But first and foremost, I do want to promote and celebrate that I finished a comic, I did a thing, and you can read it on globalcomics.com/Dopple. I'll put the link in the description. Dopple is a horror thriller comic about a woman and her husband and how strange he's acting after his routine business trip. She has to figure out what she's going to do about it. If that sounds interesting to you, please check it out. Links in the description below. Hope you guys are making progress on your comics, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Matter of fact, if you guys just finished your comics, please comment in the comment section, and I'll go check them out myself, and other people can read them as well. Alright, talk to you guys soon.